So welcome back to another one of our Clouse's Vacation decorating videos. Today we are working on Hermia Capp. I'm going to say straight out, I hate the layout of this manor so much, especially when it comes to Hermia and Tybalt's rooms. They're so awkward and so weird. And I had to keep the doors because it's like a Jack and Jill bathroom, and I just, not a fan. But I did decide to go ahead and change the carpet, and it was red, but like, in this instance, they're very wealthy. They could afford to change her carpet if she wanted to. I didn't have a lot in terms of Hermia. Like, I have a hard time really visualizing her as a person, whereas Tybalt and Juliet have very clear ideas, even Miranda, but Hermia's hard for me. You know, I get that she's smart, and she's kind of like a goth, but she's got like the winged eyeliner thing going on. She's really interested in politics and the environment. I found it interesting that her wiki actually mentioned that, and that she doesn't like money, health, or the paranormal. And that also her like sim DNA says her hair is blonde, not red. So it's kind of what I had to go off. And so I just kind of decided to lean into the goth thing. Like, she was going to go full goth. Everything was going to be as black could be. Maybe a bit of neons. But I just really wanted to see how far I could get if I just leaned into that kind of goth aesthetic. I also decided it would be interesting to just kind of make her vegan, because I feel like with her interests, especially politics and the environment, she would be vegan. So it was something I'm like, okay. And so trying to portray that in a room was a little bit difficult. I'm pretty sure I put a bowl of popcorn. It's hard sometimes, like, especially when you're building like a character out, and then you're like, how do I show this particular trait for them? How do I show she doesn't like money, health, the paranormal, but she likes politics and the environment? Like, how do I show that? I actually came up with a clever one, though, to show that she both doesn't like the paranormal, but is interested in politics and the environment. I'm very proud of myself. But we're going to save that. I also added a lot of like really moody purples based on that one couch that's from the paranormal pack in Sims 4. It was it was a conversion, and yeah, I really like it. And I liked being able to include some kind of Victorian-esque. It's not really Victorian, but it's close enough. Especially since for Juliet, I completely bulldozed what was originally there. Like, I was like, alright, I want to at least try to have a couch, try to have like this wrought iron bed, like lean into this bit of this older aesthetic. I was putting out some stuff that really didn't fit that, though, which I realized pretty quickly, and I'm like, alright, this doesn't belong. You need to get rid of it. You need to get rid of this. You need to get rid of that. It was just more, I started putting everything down that was black, and then I realized, well, that doesn't really go with the style. I loved this desk, but it was too big. There was just no way. This is not a large room, and trying to get screenshots of this room was a nightmare. Like, it was not fun. No fun was had. I even briefly thought about redoing the bathroom and like splitting it into two so that I could just like try and make it a little bit more functional, because this was just not a fun experience. Not a fun experience. It doesn't help either that I'm trying not to reuse things if I can avoid it. Like, sometimes I can use a different color and that's fine, but I'm really trying to push my limits and use completely new objects. I was briefly thinking I could add some like minty types of greens, which is why I have that Bioshock cabinet out. It also just seemed kind of odd and weird and eclectic, and something she would enjoy having. I finally used that end table. It's only been 4 bedrooms since I downloaded it, I believe. Yeah, I also want to make sure she had a desk, because she had one, but I definitely didn't really like the desk options that I had for her. There's nothing wrong with them, just they weren't really suiting her. I'm sad that I couldn't keep the werewolf chair as well. Yeah, like, do you see what I mean? Like, this room is just so squishy. Like, that's pretty much was the limit of the furniture that I could put in there, and I'm like, I don't like that. Because I wanted her to have a bookshelf, and I wanted her to have, like, all this other stuff, and a wardrobe, and just, no. The space said, you may not. the struggle is real. I guess I can see. We're very close to the end of my pre-recorded videos. I'm not actually done recording them yet, but I will be obviously by the time you're watching this. I'm kind of sad to see them go, because I've had so much fun with them, but they have been, I talked about this in the Juliet video, like they have actually been a labor of love. There's been a lot of work put into these. There's been more work put into these than I've done for anything else on my channel, which probably says a lot about me, but hey, I've said it time and time again. I am just like a casual YouTuber over here, just making silly videos. I don't normally spend 4 hours downloading CC and then an hour or two recording one bedroom being decorated, probably another 20 minutes editing, and then however long the video is, I have to do that voiceover, and just, I put a lot into these. A lot into these. It probably doesn't show. Probably doesn't show, but I don't care. I've enjoyed them, but I will, you know, it's bittersweet. I'll be glad to see the end of them. It's horrible to say. And part of me is thinking like, but what about all the other teenagers? You only did the base game teenagers. What about the other teenagers? I'm like, no, don't even start thinking like that, because then it'll become a problem in your brain and then you'll have to do it. Yeah, I was trying to find just other items to put in here, something maybe music related, but I just really didn't like any of it for her. I also don't think she had a stereo to begin with. Yeah, she did not, so it's not like she was missing something that she had originally. I did want to give her a phone, like if you're really into politics, like you want to keep up to date with everything, so you need to stay connected and have a phone. I finally used a different overhead light as well. I was very excited to be able to change that up. In most of the rooms it doesn't go, or it gets in the way, or I'm using different lightings, it doesn't make sense, but here it was alright. I wanted to give her candles too, because like I said, I'm leaning into the whole goth thing, so she's extra enough to have bedside candles. I knew I wanted her to play an instrument as well, because I thought of that while decorating Juliet's room. I was like, well, they all should have an instrument, and I'm like, well, what is Hermia gonna play? I really almost went with that synthesizer. I don't, but I almost did. You'll see what I end up going up with instead. I thought about having her be interested in photography too, because I don't think I've had a sim specifically interested in photography. I've had cameras and stuff, but no one's like really into photography. Also, you'll notice that the bookshelf that I downloaded for Ophelia, I am using here. That is one of the things that I have done, is if I downloaded a piece of CC for a specific sim and then I didn't use it for them for whatever reason, I end up trying to use it for someone else. Not for like any real solid reasons, more just the fact that I'm annoyed that I downloaded it and I spent that time and it's going to exist somewhere. Like the drone that I downloaded for Tank and didn't work the first time, and I finally got it to work. Well, it ended up showing up in Johnny Smith's room. I've actually used the drone a couple times. So much for not reusing things, but eh. Because she has a computer, I briefly was like toying with the idea of her being a gamer. Just because I was like, well, maybe she's into games. That's why I had like the Void Critters thing out, the arcades thing out. Just different items. I really like this shoe and box. It does not go, it's not a Hermia item, but it is cool and I want to use it for someone. I'm just not sure who. Yeah, her room is just so small. Like, there's so many items that, like, genuinely would have looked so good in her room. But there was just no way. There was no way. Yeah, it wasn't gonna happen. I also have an idea, not really an idea, but just, like, a general thoughts about, like, the whole matriarchy with the Capps. I don't think it's the oldest daughter who becomes the heir. Like, I really think it's, you know, the heir is chosen for kind of their ruthlessness and if they will be the best leader in that generation, but they're always chosen from a specific line, so it is kind of, so for example, Cordelia was chosen out of her sisters, but I've always seen her as the youngest sister, so they chose Cordelia. Well, the next generation, it's not going to be Regan, Goneril, and Cordelia's kids. It will just be Cordelia's kids, but it could be Hermia or Juliet. But clearly it's Juliet, because she's shown the initiative. Hermia wants nothing to do with it. She has no interest in being the Capp heir, like none. Which is fine, like she doesn't have to be. I love that Bert and Ernie painting. It makes me laugh so much. It's based on a real historical painting, but it's Bert and Ernie, so it's amazing. I figure she's kind of got a quirky, odd sense of humor. Just gives me that kind of feeling. You can see that one wall as well I covered with, like, I think it's Mount Komorebi, that mountainy thing. Just to kind of break up the Tudor walls a bit. And then I gave her a gallery wall here. Just different postcards and paintings and things like that. I did use this particular frame in Juliet's room, but I wanted to use it again, so I did. I didn't have a ton of wall space either, which was disappointing, because I had a lot of things that could potentially go on her walls. But again, like, I didn't want to do too many posters, because they didn't have posters in this house. I wanted to do more framed prints, so I was very particular about the posters that I was going to use. Like, I think I used that one. The one behind her desk I don't really consider a poster because it's so big, like, it looks like it came from somewhere, but like that one there. And I think there's one more. No, there's two more. Then I decided to put some posters on the Mount Komorebi mountain. Just for funsies. And again, nothing too much. Like the gallery wall, everything's kind of framed really nicely. I do give her this deer head because I thought it was cool. And yeah, like I wanted to show she was into politics, so like her desk has like lots of binders on it. What else did I put? I do have like some weird creepy terranium things that I put on her end table, but yeah, just like, oh, I think I put mail to show like she writes letters to politicians. There's that little politics sign that's hanging upside down. I gave her a little pride flag and a tablet and these like files. Just doing my best to show that she's interested in politics. It's kind of a hard thing to display. But when it comes to the environment and not liking the paranormal, you'll see I have one of those little crystals from the Strangerville mystery. It's like a conversion. I had to include it. It's perfect. It's the perfect combination of those two things. Of like not liking the paranormal, being interested in the politics of it, and being worried about the environment. Like, yes, that is exactly what it needs to be in her room. I also wanted to include that little leopard, it's like a makeup caboodle looking thing, just as kind of a nod to the original leopard sheets, because there was no way I was going to give her leopard sheets. It was just not going to happen. As you can see, I got rid of the camera as well. I gave her that big skull teddy. And yeah, she still has plants. She has a couple of awards. I made sure to change, she's got one of the horse trophies, but I made sure to change it silver just to kind of show like she's not, you know, Juliet is competitive as heck and she's always going to win at everything she does, whereas Hermia is like, whatever, it's fine. She's not willing to push herself or in this case the animal, that far. A little box of red dye I also put next to it just to show that she dyes her hair red, because genetically she's a blonde, so it made sense. I wasn't really sure what to have, like, her sign. I wanted it to be anti-something, but I wasn't sure what to put, but then I just put Nessie, because she doesn't like the paranormal, so I thought it would be funny. I was getting annoyed, because this is not a desk, this is actually a dining table, so the slots were kind of annoying. But I wanted, like, that travel thing out, because I figured she plans to travel to Strangerville and handle the mystery. Some binoculars. I figured she probably also is not above political spying at all. Just because she's not interested in the family business does not mean she is not a Capp, and yeah, she will totally lean right into that. I was trying to get that in OMSP so I could better get it under the desk, and it was just not cooperating. Yep. I ended up just kind of putting it there. I also put that teeny tiny yellow duck under her bed. Like, she's trying to be all grown up, but she also, you know, has some childish aspects to her. I was sad I couldn't get that greenhouse to fit, but it doesn't go on OMSPs, so it's like, meh. Yeah, here's the letters that I put just to kind of show, like, she writes to politicians and she cares. She also gets a camera. Even though I decided not to have her, like, super into photography, I still wanted her to have a camera, because maybe she, along the lines, started saying she also is part of the school newspaper, but she's a photographer, and then also occasionally writes articles about politics for the school paper, which is how she met and sort of got involved with Mercutio. Because it's set up to where she likes Mercutio, but she also likes Puck. So she kind of likes both of them, which is an interesting kind of juxtaposition, because her cousin Miranda also likes Mercutio. As you can see, the instrument that I went with was the cello, because why not? I don't think she's very good at the cello. I think she just was forced to learn to play it, and now she has a cello in her room. She also, I think, would have tried to learn to knit to help out Juliet with their whole crocheting for the poor kind of thing that would appeal to Hermia. It's vegan, it's a vegan hobby, so she would be into it. Also, any materials that do not look vegan in her room, we're just going to assume they're faux, whatever they are. I tried to make sure that there was nothing, but I might have missed something that looks leather, or something that, like, shouldn't be in there, but hopefully I didn't. I gave her a little boombox as well, because why not? But yeah, she has a few little trophies. You see the journalism one she has kind of up front because it matters to her, whereas the horse one, she doesn't really care. And same for this other one, like this is probably just like a general one. Oh, I deleted it. Never mind. But I just saw it as like general trophies, not necessarily important things to her. Which is something you have to consider for characters too. Like, is it important to them or is it important? Like, some things are world-ending to one person, another person it's like, why are you upset about this? It's so dumb. So it's always good to remember that, even in real life. We are just about done, so I'm curious, what do you guys think about her room and kind of my portrayal of Hermia? Is this kind of how you see her at all? Do you guys tend to have her get with Mercutio, just like lean into that storyline, or is there something else that you like to do with her? As always, I'm very happy to talk about pre-mades. I can talk about pre-mades all day long because they are my favorite. And yeah, I just love talking about them. Love decorating their rooms. I'm going to keep telling myself that I'm not going to do the other ones. We'll see. Maybe I'll have some other weird thing where I need to pre-record a bunch of things, and I might do this again. But for now, I'm saying no. I'm not, because this took a lot of time. But let's tour her room really quick. You gotta see, it is packed to the gills with stuff, but it's really good. And yeah, go ahead and give this video a like if you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next one.